All right, let's talk about how you take your broken game and fix it. I've been working on the Exploding Kittens board game for 2 years now, and like all good games, the very first version was broken. There's two fundamental problems with this. And this is the spoiler alert. I wanted everyone to kind of work at home to figure out what the problems were. And now I'm just going to tell you what I found by putting this thing in front of friends and frankly having them have a very miserable time. When we looked at that previous layout of cards, everyone is racing from the start to the finish. Two big problems. Problem number one. There is no escalating tension in this game. When you play a game or watch a movie or read a book, you need that tension to ratchet up, right? You need the winner to win just by a hair at the very end. You need your heroes to avoid the monster just barely at the end of the movie. All of that is missing here because we're just moving one space at a time, going from the beginning to the end. But let's take that and put it in a box for a second, because we also have to talk about the second problem. We have to identify everything before we can fix it. And that second problem is no sense of mastery. If the thing is too easy, if they get it on their first time, if there's no sense that like, I can get better at this over time, nobody's gonna play your game, or they're gonna play it once and never pick it up again. Let's say you're racing in an actual race, right? How do you get better at the race? Well, really simple. You go home and you practice, you train, you exercise, you race over and over and over again. In a board game, all of that's missing. This is just a race. This particular layout is just get from the front to the end and hopefully do it faster than anybody else. When you ask players, hey, do you want to play again? The answer is obviously no, because I'm not going to get better at this. The next time I play is going to be exactly the same as the first time I played because there's no sense of mastery. We need to fix these problems, and ideally, one solve is going to hit both of those things. All right, so let's talk about an easy upgrade first, which is these player chips. These are easy, cheap, and really boring, so let's get rid of them. And we're gonna replace them with these beautiful guys. Just these little color chips. They hold a single piece of cardboard, and now suddenly our players get to have their own individual colors, and they feel much better to move around a board. In the first version, we had them just move one space at a time. So boring, so predictable, who cares? You can't get better at that. So we did the most obvious thing, which is just replace it with a die. But this is random. So we invented something new. This is called the move deck. Every card in this deck, as you draw it, lets you move around the board. Move 1, move 2, move 7. Some are really creative, like jump ahead of the player in front of you. Whatever it is, we can do with the move deck. Move 3, 1, 2, 3. Really simple. But now I can play around with odds and statistics because in the move deck, there is also an exploding kitten. The Exploding Kitten is my favorite card in the move deck because this is terrible. If you draw this card, you're going to have to go to last place or you're going to have to move all the way back to start. Whatever it is, this is terrible. You don't want this card. And so if I insert this card somewhere in the deck, suddenly, every time you draw a card and you're safe, you just get to move normally, the next player has an increased chance of exploding when they draw a move card. As long as you don't draw the Exploding Kitten, every time you draw a card and move around the board, tension increases for the next player because their chances of drawing the Exploding Kitten goes up. Now, this player's a little bit scared to draw a card because what if it's an Exploding Kitten? When you have a deck of cards instead of a die, you also get to do really creative things. Like it might not just be move 7 or move 1. It's also like, okay, move 0, but move forward to the next player on the board. Or instead of move 2, here we go, move 1 or flip another card. You get to be way, way more creative with this move deck. When it is depleted, you just reshuffle, but there's always the looming threat of that Exploding Kitten in there, which increases the sense of tension as the game progresses. This deck beautifully, easily, more cost-effectively solves the problem of how to increase tension, how to let players be a little bit strategic. You know what cards are left. You know there's only 3 cards left in the move deck and one of them is an Exploding Kitten. What do? Maybe you don't want to draw. Maybe you want to skip your turn. Maybe you want to let somebody explode instead of you. All the fun psychological drama is now present in the game just because we replaced a die with a deck of cards. Okay, now we've got that sense of tension solved. How do we solve the sense of missing mastery? How do you get better at this game as you go? I want players to be able to play cards strategically. I want them to set traps. I want them to betray their friends. I want them to hoard cards. I want them to spend cards. I want them to target other players. Do all the fun stuff that you'd expect in a game that you can get better at as time goes on. So I started sketching. And the first sketch was, all right, well, here's what a board might look like. That progressed onto some interesting quadrants around the board, and that progressed to this. This, and here's a more finalized inked version, is what we actually used for the next prototype. I need to give you an arsenal of really good cards now. And so we have to rethink what our deck looks like. And we actually need to split the deck into two. We've got the move deck. We need another deck of cards of tools, advantages, penalties, all the things you need to build a hand of cards that are going to let you play strategic moves. This really bad card, discard 2, you can play that right on the board. Imagine a slightly larger board, which we actually use for the final. But now, if a player lands on this, they have to get rid of 2 cards. And let's say you had a great card, and you played that here, and now you want to land on this space, and you want to avoid this space. In other words, players are building the actual board as they go. And they're setting traps for other players, and they're making these wonderful landing locations for themselves, and they're able to actually play the game strategically because they are defining the board as the game progresses. This solved both of the problems we were having, right? We no longer have that sense of, well, the escalation is missing, and we no longer have that sense that you can't get better at this game. We made this simple choice to separate the cards. 2 different decks. One controls movement, one is your arsenal of tools to use against other players, and our 2 fundamental problems suddenly disappeared. And it introduced a whole new slew of problems that we'll talk about next. So version 2 of the Exploding Kittens board game is now ready to go, and we set everybody down, we're ready for our playtest, and it was better, but a long way away from good. I will tell you everything that went wrong and how we fixed it. But first, I want you to try your best to tell me what you think was wrong. If you're working on a board game, if you got friends working on board games, like this is the kind of exercise you want, right? You want to be able to anticipate this stuff so you don't burn too much time building bad prototypes. I did not know so much at the time and built a very bad prototype. So now let's see if you can figure out what went wrong. In the next video, I'm going to tell you what we actually found, and I'll tell you how we fixed it. If you've got a friend working on a creative project, I would love to hear from them too. I need you to like and subscribe and comment and do all those really important things that help encourage me to keep making these videos. And most importantly, I am so excited to share the entire rest of this path, because the final version, the 10th anniversary Exploding Kittens board game, is one of the most beautiful things I have ever made. And I'm so excited to share it with you. And you're going to get to see every step along the way that got us there.